Hello and welcome along to another episode of this FM21 story, The Head Coach with me, Daniel. It's part 31 today, and I mean the title partly gives it away. But of course, as you can probably tell, we are back between games in the mid-season break, and there can only be one reason for that. We have got a job interview. Now, we spoke about this in the last episode. I'm really enjoying Dundee. I've accepted it's a bit of a difficult season, but as you can see by the table, we're picking up again now. However, we've had a job interview offer, that I don't think we can refuse. We've not applied for anything, and it is a little bit of a sideways step as such, but I've looked at the squad, I've looked at the opportunity, and given a few other factors as well, I don't know that I can refuse this. So it's almost sort of a dilemma, and I'm going to need your help with it. I think I've made my mind up anyway, but hopefully you guys can convince me that what I'm doing is the right thing. So if you're looking forward to that one, finding out who it is, and of course letting me know whether you think it's the right move, please do put a thumbs up on the video. Of course we might not even get offered the job yet, so we shouldn't get too excited. If you want to stay up to date though and find out what happens, please do subscribe down below and turn that notification bell on. You'll get alerts as daily FM21 content releases from 2 long-term stories on the channel. And of course there's links to all the playlists and the podcast channel in the eye above, so you can keep up to date with everything across the 2 channels. However, we need to talk about this job interview because it's something a little bit interesting. I will very quickly show you the games we've played off camera first, the transfer news so far, just to keep you up to date with what's going on at Dundee, because as we say, it's an interview only, it might not happen. But the fact that we've been approached when in a contract by another club, a bit like when we moved to Dundee, does make me think that surely they're a club that really want us to join them, and it's just whether the compensation works. But that compensation is going to be smaller than we expected. You can see we're wanted there at the top of the screen. I'm not going to show you who just yet, of course, but we've got a contract running to the end of this season. Now, I asked in about October or November for a new deal, and the board said no, we're happy with the length you've got on your contract at the moment. So I've tried to be committed to the club. I've said, look, I want to stay, give me a deal, and they haven't. And with 4 months to go of my contract, and with us floating in mid-table, I have to think, do they actually want me to stay after this? Yes, we've got them through to the Europa Conference last 32. Yes, we've also managed to keep them in the top half of the Scottish Premiership, and we've won a major competition while we're here. But they don't want to offer us a deal. So with 4 months to go, I'd be negligent in my role if I didn't then have a look to see whether we could move on and get security long term. After all, we've got to be realistic here. We need a job after this season. I don't doubt that Dundee would offer us one, but it's not a risk that I can really take if there's a 2 or 3 year contract on the table. So we'll go and take a look at that in a moment, but let's head along to the schedule first, because we have played a few games off camera. We were of course well on our way to getting to where we were supposed to go, which was Hibernian in the last game of January, and of course the transfer deadline as well. Since then though, you were with me for the Rangers defeat as well as the Salzburg one in Europe. We lost the Dundee derby 1-0. Young Phil Malcolm got the goal. In our live stream series, we've just promoted him to the first team. And I'd love it if he becomes that good, because he is some player in this series. Moving on though, we did get back to winning ways. A 2-1 victory at home to Kilmarnock. Came Richie Hosler with a brace. The second was an absolute beauty. Aaron Shabola getting the goal for Kilmarnock. A 0-0 draw away at St Mirren. Not the worst result in the grand scheme of things. And in a much rotated side, won 3-1 at home to St Johnstone. Alan Forrest got a goal, which was very quickly pegged back by Stevie May. And then Carlton Morris with a brace. All of which leaves us pretty handily in 5th place. 6 points clear of the bottom half. 4 points clear of Aberdeen for the last European spot. And just 7 points now off Hibs in 4th. We've got Hajduk split in the first knockout round of the Europa Conference. We've got Aberdeen in the 4th round of the Scottish Cup, which could be next up if we keep our job. And we've also got some transfer news at the club. If we go and have a look at what's going on, there's plenty of potential ins and outs. So Luke Chambers, the left-back who we had on loan from Celtic, got recalled over game time, and now an offer's been made for him again. So it seems like the director of football likes him more than me. It looks like Jakubiak's on his way out, but he's one of those who was complaining. He got offers, the director of football accepted. I completely understand it, although it does leave us with only one striker. He's also sold Aaron Chapman, who has become 3rd choice keeper behind Carmichael. Really key for us in that first season. And of course, played in that Scottish Cup final. I know we had a horror show for Motherwell in real life the other week, but he's a brilliant keeper and will be remembered fondly for us. However, we have got one in as well, and that man is Liam Kelly from Middlesbrough. 125,000. Now this deal's come about because the man 2 above him, Dan Edwards, has been recalled by Birmingham. He was having a paddy over his playing time. So now Liam Kelly is his replacement. He'd signed him, I think, on a pre-contract deal and then agreed to buy him early. But 3-star ability, 3-star potential. He's 28 years of age. He's an excellent set-piece taker. He's brilliant technically. He's solid mentally. And you know what? He's not the worst physically. Certainly in our midfield anyway. He can play naturally in the midfield too or in the holding role. And he's a quality playmaker. So it's actually a very good signing if we're going to carry on playing with Dundee. But that will depend on what happens in this job interview. Now this is going to surprise a few of you, I think. But we have been approached randomly by Hibernian. The board have invited us to attend an interview with them. They wish to discuss the possibility of us becoming the new manager. They feel we'd be an acceptable fit for the club's somewhat scaled back vision for the future. And they want to discuss our suitability for the role. Now they're directly above us in 4th. The one thing I did check was about the European football. But if we have a look, they're in the Europa Conference first knockout as well. They've got an easier Scottish Cup 4th round tie, which could potentially be our first game in charge. And they've got a very good team. So the game we were supposed to be back for, we could well be showing, but it could be the opposite way round. I want to just show you a couple of their players. They've got a bigger reputation as well. So 3-star national reputation. If I show you Dundee, 2.5-star. So that's something that's a bit different. The finance is not quite as good, but I'm sure they've got some big names to be selling here. Because look at the values of some of these. A centre-half, for example. We've got Jimmy Dunn, who is from Burnley, a really good centre-half. Ryan Porteous is still there, the Scottish international, who's quality. They've still got John Souttar, the former Hearts man, who's come in. He's a quality centre-back. And they've also got Ryan Astley. So those 4 centre-halves are better than any of ours. They've still got Stevie Mallon in centre-mid, a player that, of course, we've just signed at Dundee United in our live stream series. Jordan Jones, the former Rangers man. Josh Doig, the left-back, is wanted by Arsenal. By Arsenal, the 21-year-old. Look how good he is. He's like the next Kieran Tierney there. Jason Cummings is a quality striker. We've looked at him in other series before. They've got the likes of Will Vauxhall in centre midfield, who in the Championship in real life has just scored from his own half the last week. Lee Farrell, their key player, is a quality midfielder. Alongside Mallon, he's got tons of quality and a great personality, and he's only 18. So for me, looking at the squad and the potential, it's an absolute no-brainer to come here. Of course, we'd be relying on a director of football who might sell some of them. Of course, we're not going to make an instant impact. It's going to be difficult. And of course, it's not the massive step up we were hoping for. But we saw from our first job change, where we went from Brecon City to Arbroath, that extra 1/2-star reputation gave us a massive opportunity moving forward. And I feel like this Hibs one can as well. So I don't know about you, but I think I'm going to accept it if we get a job offer. But the only way to find out that is to go and have an interview. So let me know if you agree, and let's start the interview. So the board have approached us. I'm hoping, like the Dundee one, there's been an update since, that we won't get lots of questions about applying for the job, because I can assure you we've applied for no jobs. But let's get into the first question. Our managerial experience lacks variety. Well, I've shown loyalty. That's a very good thing, isn't it? Our team's define expectations. Are you looking to take advantage by moving on while your stock's high? You've approached me for an interview. I don't want to move. I'm only moving because you're offering me a better job. I've done a good job and I feel it's the next one for my career, or I've taken them as far as I can go. No, I'm going to say I want to take the next step. Why have you felt it acceptable to apply for a number of jobs whilst employed by another team? I mean, yes, at Brecon and to an extent at Arbroath, but since joining Dundee, I have not applied for any jobs. I've absolutely loved my time there. So I don't really know what to say to that other than I lack professionalism, but I haven't done it. The Hibs board are looking for a manager comfortable working with limited resources. I guess so. I mean, we'll certainly be able to take them further in Europe and bring in income, but as long as they don't sell our players, which I guess will happen eventually, I'm quite happy with the resources they've got. They've got a good squad there for sure. I'll just say I know I can look after them. I've done it at my first 2 clubs, haven't I? And I'm not really in charge of the transfers or the contracts or the staffing. So I'm not going to be the one making those decisions. This club has been underperforming for far too long. Are you the right person to turn things around? Now that's got alarm bells going for me, because if they think 4th is underperforming, what are their expectations? Because we're not going to break the old firm anytime soon. That's really got me a little bit worried. So I'm going to say I'm a motivator, but we're going to have to come back to that and look at the expectations. We would like to know when you want to be manager immediately. There's no point waiting. Can you change your backroom staff? I don't really want to. That's your job to do. Let's see what they want. Scottish Premiership qualify for the Europa League. So that's third place. So they want to be best of the rest. Where are they now? Can I see? Let's go and have a look at the Scottish Premiership. They are 4 points behind Dundee United. So I could yet go and still be a Dundee hero. They want to develop players using the youth system, and they've got one of the best, if not the best in the country, so we'll take that. Work within the wage budget's fine as long as it's not terrible. Reach the group stage of the Europa Conference has already passed. Semi-final of the Scottish Cup depends on a draw. And they haven't got ambitions to be beyond third, so basically it's best of the rest, which I think we can do. That all seems acceptable. No expectations for this season, that's fine by me. Transfer budget of 355 grand, that's absolutely fine. And a wage budget of 166,000. So I will just say I'm happy enough with that. Do we have any requests? Absolutely not. And that's an enlightening discussion. So what we've got now is, I believe, 11 days until the Scottish Cup starts. So yeah, 11 days time we face Aberdeen at home. Will we be managing Dundee? Or will we be introducing a new club? Let's go and skip ahead and see what comes about. But this could be a massive episode. I'll see you in a minute. So we're back 2 days later. There's been an offer for a young goalkeeper which has been accepted. Doesn't look anything special. And Jakubiak is moving on to Minnesota for 60 grand, rising to 120. And that will happen in mid-February. So we're going to lose one of our strikers as well. What I did want to look at though is, because we've had a job interview at Hibernian, is should we have a look to see what other jobs are available? Because Wolves have got a job going. They're 16th in the Premier League, but I think that's probably too big a step for us now. Barnsley have got a job going, but I don't know if that's a big enough step up. They've got players on nearly 20 grand. They've only been back in the Championship 1 year. How are they spending that much money? The wage inflation is massive in this game. So that's not going to be an option either. If there was perhaps a bigger Championship job going, I probably would have considered that. There's not really many big ones going around Europe as well. Good to see Paderborn back in the top tier actually. That's a positive in the Bundesliga. And Rennes have just improved a bit too much in game. Motherwell have got a job going as well. Jim Goodwin the favourite. Falkirk in the Scottish Championship. But it looks like Hibs is our only option. And if not, we'll be staying here. So let's skip ahead. If we've got any more transfer news in the next 10 days, we'll of course look at it. If not, we'll be back if we get a job offer. Well, just 3 days later, it has happened. That suggests Hibernian want us just as much as Dundee did at first. There's going to be some real key moments in these next 5 messages. It looks like Chambers is coming back on loan, and there's 2 other offers that have been made. So they could be things that keep us at Dundee if they're exciting enough. The length of the contract from Hibernian is big as well, because Dundee have offered us nothing. We asked for a new contract and they didn't offer us one. We've gone for a job interview, which has been pretty widespread in the media. They've not offered us anything. It seems a little bit bizarre. They don't really want to keep us with 4 months to go, which seems bizarre considering we won the Scottish Cup, saved them last year and have got them in the top half here. But there we go. That's Dundee's decision. So let's look at these messages and then I'm going to ask for your final decision as well. Hopefully, the majority of you will agree with me. But Chambers is back at left back. We've had him before. We know what he's like. He is still improving, by the way. He's a very good fullback now. Someone we probably could have liked to have had at Hibs. Although Doig, if he doesn't go to Arsenal, would be a star. Let's look at the 2 offers though, because these could be the things that save us. Firstly, is a player called Barclay. And he's just a youngster. 10 grand for a 19-year-old with not much potential. That's underwhelming, to say the least. Now let's look at Griffiths. Is it a senior player? Harvey Griffiths. Oh, so he's our loan player. And they're looking at getting him on a permanent deal. So that's a good move for them moving forward because he's a young player with a sell-on value. So that's an incredible bit of work from the director of football if he pulls it off. And we know Jay Hurd's very good. But this is the big one. How big a contract are Hibs going to offer us? How long is it going to be? And we didn't check actually if they got a director of football in place. So let's look at the approach. Let's look at the job offer. Once we do, get yourselves down in the comments. Stick or twist, Dundee or Hibs. I'm edging very much towards Hibs at the minute, depending on the outcome of this message. Wow, we have to take it. We have to. I mean, surely you'll agree, but we've got to be realistic in this save. 2.5 grand a week at Dundee to the end of the season is a good wage, but it's not spectacular. This is 7 grand a week. I don't know when the contract is until. A 2-year contract, but is that 1.5 or 2.5? If that's a 2.5 year deal on 6.75 grand a week, That's essentially almost £1 million contract. That's life-changing. No person can really turn that down. And I go back to my club Luton Town with the Nathan Jones thing. Yes, the way he did it was awful, but if Stoke are offering you 10 or 15 grand a week to manage their club, you've got to take it because it changes your life. And here, I think we've got the same opportunity. So the expectations, the club vision, the club culture has all remained the same. Nothing is changing there. The transfer budget and wage budget is as described. We need to know how long this contract is, and if we can get it up to 7 grand a week completely, I don't think we can turn it down. It's a no-brainer. It is. It's 2.5 years. So even if we get sacked, we're set for life. It's paid off a house immediately. We're going to try and work up the bonuses. So 15 grand for winning a League Cup, 20 grand for winning the Scottish Cup, and 7 grand a week in wages. If they take that, I think we have to accept the offer. I don't know if you agree. Get down in the comments. Let me know if you think I'm making the right decision. But even if you don't, hopefully you can understand what I'm doing. So let's go and suggest those terms. They've taken them straight away. The desire for Hibs to want us, to come into that interview, to take us, to pay the compensation, whatever that might be. I really do appreciate the fact that they want us so badly. And that's something that is going to be crucial. So I hope you've mostly agreed with me down in the comments. I'll of course get back to you in the next couple of days. But I am going to finalise this deal with Hibernian and we will take charge tomorrow. So we're going to leave it at this point here. We will very quickly check to see if they've got a director of football. If we go to the staffing, they've not, but they've got a technical director in Graham Matthey, who is absolutely awful. They've got a caretaker manager who I don't know what he was doing before. Might have just been a coach maybe, but he's very good. Keith Lasley's there as assistant manager. Well-known name from Motherwell before. Played in England as well in his earlier days. And aside from that, they've got a pretty well-balanced team. A couple of scouts, a good reserve and the under-18 coaching team. They've got some decent senior ones as well. Maybe a touch light on coaches. But I guess John Crawford will probably resolve that. But for me, they've got a good head of youth development. They've got everything else in place. It's a brilliant offer to take. So we will be back in the next episode for a Sunday special. It will be part 32. And we will be taking you through our first day as manager of Hibernian. I hope you've agreed with me. I hope you're looking forward to it. If you are, please do put a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe down below to stay up to date and turn that notification bell on to get alerts every time a new episode releases on the channel. You can of course check out the playlist so far in the eye above, as well as all the other series on the channel from FM21. And of course, there's a link to the podcast channel too, with plenty of football content over there. So I can only apologise to Dundee, but I wanted to stay. The board wouldn't give me a new deal, they wouldn't give me any support, and they wouldn't give me any job security. And given the job I've done to take them into and through European group stages, to win a major competition, I kind of felt a little bit betrayed by that, to be honest. So we're replacing Daniel Stendhal, we will be the Hibernian manager, and this is make or break point of our career. Last time, in FM20, when we stepped up and went to Charlton in the Championship in England, that's when it all went wrong. We got our first sacking, we couldn't handle the pressure. Is the same going to happen here? Or are we going to go from strength to strength? And maybe this is the big move before the massive one. Who knows? There's so much untold. I hope you'll join me in the next one to find out. In the meantime, we're back with Bangor City tomorrow. And of course, a live stream from Dundee United on Sunday morning. Before this one returns, 3:30 on Sunday. I hope to see you all there, because we will be introducing ourselves to Hibernian. Our first day in the job. And I hope you can join me. Thanks for watching.